Hey, welcome back everyone. So in this episode, we're going to start doing some drawing over this. Let's actually take this layer and just lower the opacity down. And now we're going to look at kind of our reference over here of what our design is, and then transfer this over onto this rough 3D model. So the first thing is like I feel like some of the energy and liveliness kind of was sucked out of this from turning it into 3D. So let's bring some of that back in, some of that character, and just do some basic sketching to really kind of get this to feel like it's coming out a little bit more. So I'll probably add some wonkiness into the design here as I'm drawing it, and just like little things, like a little more. See how the handle, we can have a little bit of tapering to it, and I'll start having some lines kind of come around through here, and just bringing a lot of that character back to the piece that was sort of lost when we took it into 3D. And that's something you have to be careful with if you're relying on 3D. You want to make sure you bring those elements back into your drawing. And don't be afraid to just loosely doodle over your 3D. I feel like the 3D helps you it gives you a really nice perspective. It helps you sort of not to worry about that end of things as much. So you're more focused on just making the best possible design that you can. And that's the reason that I designed this in 2D first, is so I did maintain that feeling. We didn't want to lose that. And now we're just we're adding little curves here and there, just to give that personality back into the drawing, into the design. Because ideally, like, this is brought, like, if a designer is going to take this, a 3D modeler artist is going to take this and actually implement it into a game, they'll probably they'll want to add character to it. You don't want to have like such a flat, boring piece in the game. Just it looks boring. It doesn't have any aspects of human hand touching it really, or it just looks less like that. So here now we have this base piece, and I'm just loosely doodling over this. And we wanna think about like how the stone or metal might be reacting or might look in this world. And I add a lot of that stuff growing over here, so we're gonna pull that back in. But right now I'm working on, I don't want these lines to be all so perfect, so we're kind of bringing stuff in and out and kind of notching things in, just little imperfections that'll give character to this piece. Little circles and some notches. Probably someone, maybe they were trying to pull this sword out and they got angry at it and they just went to town on the base. So that's part of the thing you can do. And remember, we had that design on there, and that kind of came up right here. And there's a few ways we could do the design. I'm actually going to just grab our 2D drawing here with the lasso tool, like that. I'm just going to copy that and then bring it back over here. And I'm going to paste it over this. And I'm using Control T to kind of warp this around. I'm holding Control points here. And I'm just pasting this right onto my 3D bit here. And we can use this. I'm going to lower the opacity on that quite a bit. And now we have a nice base for what this will be like. And now I can see I'm adding a little bit of dimension. We're sort of pulling this out of the frame, or pulling this out of the drawing, kind of carving it, thinking about the shapes pulling off of this. And it looks like we have sort of this metal that's being adhered to the stone. So I want to think about how that's placed on there and kind of how it interacts with that. And with the metal, we'll have some dings and stuff on this as well. And I'm just thinking about the thickness, how far I want this to come out from the base piece. And maybe we don't want it to abruptly end like that. Maybe this goes back to this piece and kind of comes up here Almost looks like it's a trail leading to the stone. And we can work out the rest of these design elements as we go. But I kind of like this sort of, this cap piece sort of holding it up and over. That looks kind of cool. So we're just thinking about the depth of this shooting off of this. So see how I'm drawing above and over it? Since we're looking at it from the side, we're getting a little bit of depth on that. And this isn't perfect. This is kind of my quick doodlings. And I might change the design a little bit here too. I don't really like how this part looks, how it kind of notches in here. I'm not sure if maybe, I don't really like that either. So this is kind of a case of just exploring. We could look at some of that reference I had earlier for the sort of detailed little things shooting off, sprouting out. Maybe we do something like this where this comes around here. There we go. Now replicating on the other side might be a little difficult. So having that drawn line is really nice. And this is where it'd be probably good to come back and redo this just for better detail. But we can kind of we'll just rough it in there and I can paint it in. There we go. And I feel like this comes over and then you see pure stone behind this here. So this overlaps a little bit. Has that depth. Oops, this would actually be the opposite way. So this one, so wait, so this would be the pure stone bits. Yeah, so I did that wrong. So this goes, here we go. Do that a little bit backwards, it's okay. Well, actually, no, I guess I was doing it right. So this, we're gonna have this connect around and over and under. So this goes over here. Yeah, there we go. And that's starting to look a little more accurate. So we have that center circle piece kind of pops up here. This here. There we go. And you can do some little interior details on this too. And obviously, like, this needs to be a little bit longer. Come over this. See, we have some symmetry issues here. That's okay. That's fine for now. And then maybe we'll have this piece come around along this, and it's like a metal encasing along these edges here. And here as well. Okay. And I guess maybe we're going to come back. We're going to do the same thing to this. It's like an anti-skateboarding measure, basically. And we have these. There we go. That little circular area. It kind of comes out behind here. And this is all just, you know, we have this simple idea that we're taking and we're building on top of and just building up and up. So that's the great thing about doing it in this process. I feel like you end up with a more fully thought out prop. Where I feel like, for me at least, if I were to draw this straight in 2D, I might not have as well developed ideas by the time I get to it at this point. And you know, we might want to add little flares in here just so it's not such an abrupt change in detail. Yeah, like that. That looks a little bit better. And now I'm noticing this is looking a little like top heavy, so we're actually going to bring a piece from below and bring that up a little closer. And remember, we had this back a little further. We're actually going to bring that in a little closer again, just to help with that top heavy feeling I feel like we're getting right now. But then we can have the bottom piece will come out a little further. So I'm still using that 3D bit as a guideline. I'm not letting it get me too caught up in the design. I want that only to be a guideline for my next steps, not to be the exact path. Another thing I'm noticing, I kind of want to add just a little bit of a flare to this so it gets a little larger as it goes up. Just to add a little more character to it, a little more stylization. See how that little bit of a flare just starts reading better. And we could even do that to the sword. We could grab this piece and then scale it, but just at the top. And this is a good way if you're having a hard time, you feel like your drawings are a little too stiff, you can use those tools, the transform tools, to get yourself a little more interesting shape to your piece. So this is the bottom piece that we can start bringing in some more of that stone, like chipping and carving I was talking about. So we'll have, you could add this after or while you're drawing, either way. But I just want to have like those notches in there. You know what? I'm going to add those after I get the rest of this drawn out a little bit more. So we want that swooping corner. I made a little too jagged over here. Okay. And then down to the bottom. And this bottom I'll probably actually, like, it's not going to be drawn so perfect like that. I might put in a little bit of a setting, maybe we'll add some grass, but I'm not sure yet, so. And we can add a little bit of that flare we were talking about too, that little upwards flare. I'm just gonna add that in there a little bit, just a little here too. And now we can go and start going crazy with those notches. Like I feel like if this was hit here, it might chip in a little bit here too. And maybe we'll have some little circular dents and things like that, just like little pock marks that are showing up across the piece. Now I'm thinking about just major crack fault lines and things like that that might be within this that have happened over the years. Perhaps the sword itself will never come out, but maybe the base itself, or the base will deteriorate around it or something. And we're just thinking of just random little marks, just adding that little bits of character that we want to get back in. I'm trying to work across everywhere. So we turn this off, we actually have, turn that off. And you can look at your design, you're like, oh, this actually is looking pretty cool. And you zoom out and be like, okay, what parts are missing? Where did I not draw in? And this is really all you need the 3D part for. You could completely ignore it from this point on if you wanted, or you could try to implement it into your painting process a little bit, which we'll show you next time if you want to do that, if you want to get into the painting aspect of it. I'm just thinking about this top point, how the shape might look. There we go. Add just little details here. There we go. Yeah. In the next episode, let's focus in on painting this. So we can use some of our base stuff that we already have for inspiration and whatnot on the side, but there's actually a few lines. Let me fix these few before we jump into the next episode. You can see I didn't connect some of these points. There we go. And notch that in a little further. Make it just a little bit more dramatic. And now if we turn the background off there, now we have pretty much everything's drawn in. So there's our sword and the stone pulled out into 3D. You can see how much more interesting this is right here than over here on the side. And I didn't draw in the grass and stuff yet. I figure I'm actually going to paint that in. We're not going to have that in the line work or anything like that. We'll just have to paint it in. Hopefully I don't forget to do that. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for stopping by. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here. And yeah, take care.